I'm Lauren with IndoorGardening.com, and today we're going to talk about winter plant care tools. A lot of times plants can struggle in the wintertime. There is going to be less light, there is going to be cooler temperatures. A lot of plants are not going to be in their growing season at this point. There are some plants that will be in their growing season, and you can use these things to help them as well. It just really depends on the specific type of plant, but it can definitely be a time of leaf loss, pests, disease, because a lot of plants end up struggling even in homes in the wintertime. So here's some tools today that we like to use to help our plants through the winter. The first thing that is incredibly helpful in the wintertime for plants is a heat mat. This will radiate heat underneath your plants, keeping their roots nice and toasty warm and fending off any cold damage. So especially if you have plants near a window or really far away from a heater in a very drafty house, a heat mat is definitely something that's going to come in handy. It's also really great if you want to start seedlings. A lot of gardeners and indoor plant parents start their seedlings and their propagations in December and January, preparing for the early spring, and heat mats can really help and get that going as well. Another problem that comes with the wintertime is humidity. Humidity can drop quite a bit, especially when people start turning on their heaters. So to combat that, especially for your tropical indoor plants, if they need a higher humidity, you want to get something to contain that humidity. Something like a fish tank, a mini greenhouse, you can get a grow tent or an indoor greenhouse. Any of these things will be able to keep that humidity contained, trap that moisture around your plant. So that way, even though you have your heater full blast, your plants are still going to be taken care of as well as warm. In the Pacific Northwest, for example, it rains all the time. There's a lot more humidity in the wintertime than in the summertime. And this means that plants may not need to be watered more. They may be more likely to be overwatered. A lot of the care tip guides out there for winter care will tell you to pull back on the watering. This is not true in every case, but in those specific cases, what can help you is using terracotta pots. Terracotta will help wick away that excess moisture, so it can prevent molds, mildews, and your plants rotting as well. So definitely something to consider there. If you're not turning on a heater, your air is not very dry, terracotta can really help save your plants and prevent rot. Because every home is unique, there are homes out there that will not have that excess humidity. There are homes that will actually dry out quite a bit. There are homes that can drop down to 10 to 15% humidity when you have plants that want to be at 50% or more humidity. So what you can do in those situations, along with the greenhouse, you can use self-watering pots. That's going to evaporate the water up or wick up the water, depending on how you have it set up. We have a whole video on plants that like self-watering pots, so definitely take a look at that. But for things like ferns and calathea that don't always like to dry out and they need that extra humidity, self-watering pots is going to be fantastic. It's going to save your plant in the wintertime, so definitely keep an eye out for that as well. If your humidity is really low in your home, you might look into getting a humidifier. They come in a variety of sizes as well. You want to make sure that you're getting a humidifier that's going to fit your space. So there are humidifiers that'll work in little 4x4 spaces. There are humidifiers that will work in 10x5 spaces. It just depends on the size that you get and how much water reservoir is in there, how often you're going to be wanting to fill it, and how much it can put out in a day without burning out. So definitely look at the specs on the humidifier. There are a lot of really, really great humidifiers out there that don't cost an arm and a leg. You can definitely check that out, and that will help keep the humidity up. Humidity is great for people as well as plants, so it's kind of a win-win situation there. But if you get a radiator space heater, it doesn't burn off as much humidity, and it can keep a lot more moisture in the room for you as well, while keeping your plants nice and toasty warm. It also doesn't really blow the heat around, so it just kind of radiates it gently, so you're less likely to dry your plants out that way as well. You can put a fan next to it to disperse the heat better too, so there's a lot more options, and it's kind of better for your plants. It just depends on if it's going to work in that space for you, depending on how you have your room set up. So definitely something to look at. Don't be afraid to try new different kinds of heaters and figure out what's going to work best in your space. You don't have to use just the heater that comes into your home because sometimes that's not going to be the best one for your plants. There are also other energy efficient heaters that are not going to suck up as much electricity for you, but it'll still keep your home toasty. So definitely something to look at and explore your options. So this next one is kind of like a pro tip. It is using sphagnum moss on the top of your plants. So if your plants are going to be drying out quite a bit and you can't seem to hold on to that moisture, or the humidity is really low and you're just trying to get a little bit more humidity around your plants for a little bit longer, topping your plants with sphagnum moss will do that for you. Occasionally you want to come by and you just want to mist it. You do want to feel underneath the sphagnum moss when you're trying to figure out whether you should water your plants or not, because sphagnum moss will dry out quite a bit. But you can get an automatic handheld mister, or you can get a spray bottle and just kind of spray the sphagnum moss. And even if you have very stagnant air, having that sphagnum moss moist at the base of your plant is going to create kind of a humidity bubble without the added risk of rot and pests and diseases on the foliage of your plant. So it's kind of like a pro tip hack that's not really talked about very much, but it definitely really helps. Another one that we wanted to talk about is clear window insulation, because you want the light to be coming in through the windows to shine on your plants. You don't want to cover it with a big, thick, heavy thermal curtain and then not have light for your plants. But you also don't want your plants to be getting super cold, and you don't want your electricity bills to be going sky high while you're trying to keep all your plants toasty. Even if you have modern day double pane windows where they don't get all frosty, they're not single pane, they're not really cold against the plants, they will still be letting heat out. So if you insulate them with clear insulation, it's going to prevent the heat from going out very easily, and it's going to have a greenhouse effect on your plants where the sun's going to come in and get trapped in there and make the house all nice and warm and toasty for you. And then your plants are not going to be cold with all of this heat going right out the window. They'll be still nice and warm for you as well. And it still lets all that wonderful light in so that your plants can continue to grow even in the winter weather. And speaking of light and not having much of it in the wintertime, grow lights are crucial in most home environments, especially in the winter months. If you have 4 seasons, you're definitely going to have 2 seasons where you need some extra light in your home. There are lots of different types of grow lights. It does not have to be scary to buy grow lights. We have an entire beginner-friendly breakdown video for you, so if this is your first year buying grow lights, definitely take a look at that. Growing plants in the wintertime doesn't have to be scary or intimidating. You don't have to lose a lot of your plants. A lot of your plants are not going to go dormant if you're able to keep all of these tips in line. Definitely take a look at your home environment and the type of plants that you have, and pick and choose these tools that are going to be able to help you in your specific situation. Everybody's home environment is different. Everybody's plants are different. Your care requirements and your routines are all going to be different. There is no one size fits all for plant care, and that's why we decided to give a whole variety of different tools for you, so that way you know what's available out there, and maybe one of these can help you a little bit more, relieve some anxiety and some struggle, and make you and your plants happier during this winter season. You can also check out indoorgardening.com. We have lots more information there for you. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!